Okay, guys, time for poll review. I'll probably try to put like a little graphic in front of that, but I've been doing the daily poll for about a month now. I think the most recent one is daily poll 30, and I've had a lot of fun doing it, and um, it's a nice way to stay active on the forum and have something for the community in exclusively games, which I'm a big fan of. I like this forum a lot. I've been using it since it launched in December. That's when it became active, basically, about everyone. And I've been doing the daily poll since February, and I've been thinking of something more to do with the daily poll than just the polls themselves. And I'm thinking, I thought, why not just do a poll review? So for the next few days, I'm going to catch up with the 30 that I have. I'll do basically 7 a video, and once I'm through basically the backlog of the daily polls I have, I'll be doing it weekly. And as I figure out how to do that, I'll have like a specific time. It's a specific day that it's uploaded. Probably a Monday would make sense. So that way it could be like Monday to Sunday or something like that. I'll figure it out. But we'll go for this video. We'll go through 1 through 7. The first 7 daily polls that I did. They aren't. This is still when I was figuring it out, and it's just something I did on a whim. And so I'll be going through the poll, examining the answers through them, and then giving commentary on why I chose it, and also going through what some of you guys sent the replies. So I'll put a link to the description in the forum if to the forum in this video if you're just finding this and you don't know what the exclusively games forum is. And I'll always link to the most recent daily poll. So in this description of this video, I'll also leave a link to daily poll 30, which is the one that if I upload this video today, I hope I'm uploading this video the day that I'm recording it, that will be the most recent daily poll. If it's not, then the most recent one will be uploaded. But it will be the most recent one on whatever day I upload it. So without further ado, let's start with daily poll 1, which I got right here. I'm not sure if you can see it. Let me check. Yeah, you can see it. Daily poll 1. How do you feel about review bombing? And this is obviously just me saying, Servo84, he was the guy who did the original daily poll series. I decided to reboot it. And so yeah, review bombing. I was looking at exclusively games. Let me pull this up. I saw this article and about review bombing, and that just got me thinking about the topic. And one of the things was Metro. Since Metro Exodus became an exclusive on the Epic Store, a lot of people responded by review bombing the Metro games that are on Steam. So I thought, since it's something that's come up recently, I want to ask what the community thinks about review bombing. And the results of this poll are pretty definitive. 74% chose this option. I think I chose this option as well. I'll make all the votes public. So there's me. I chose it. So review bombs can be good if done for valid reasons and by actual fans or owners of the game, which I think it's fair. Like if you own a game and the developer does something that you don't like, then you can use the user reviews as a way to voice your disagreement. And the other options are just stuff that are going through the range of user reviews and like review bombing in general. Like review bombing is an important way to speak to devs and needs to be encouraged. This is like the explicitly like do review bomb every game that you can. So 9 people voted for that. And then 5 people said that review bombing only hurts devs and needs to be banned to ensure user reviews are legitimate. So these are people who care about user reviews, but they care about users leaving reviews, but they don't think that review bombs are productive, like they hurt developers and those sorts of things. So I respectfully disagree, but that's why I like to do these polls to just gauge where everyone in the community is feeling, not necessarily to tell you what to think about a certain topic. And then no one said that developers shouldn't even listen to user reviews at all. So basically everyone in the exclusively games forum thinks that user reviews are in some way valid. Well, not everyone, but of the 54 people who voted, that's the better way to stand. So We went through the replies. Well, not went through the replies. Talked about the first poll. Talked about why I did it. Explained how I voted. Went through the results, and now we'll go read through the replies. So here's Balta666. He's one of the most consistent viewers of the daily poll. I see all the guys who post pretty consistently, and yeah, this poll needed something a little bit more punchy. Review bombing is absolutely ridiculous, and I'm 100% on the line that reviews are clearly just to trash should be eliminated from the list. Things like review bombing in the case of Metro, that it was in other games on the franchise, is a new low for gamers. Pretty interesting take. I disagree, Balta. I do think people can review bomb games a bit unfairly, but there's a clear way. With the Metro series, with the Metro franchise, if you were a Steam user, you're looking forward to Exodus. I don't think it's completely invalid that they would do something like say like, oh, I don't like the Metro series anymore because they're choosing to make the newest game exclusive to Epic, and I wanted to buy the game. Like, if you were someone who was excited for Metro and you didn't want to pre-order games because pre-ordering games is a pretty hit or miss thing to do, and you were waiting to buy it on Steam, and then that whole thing happens with Epic. I think there is a valid backlash. So. So Serena Beach says, chose the last option. Valid only when the fans and game owners want to spread a message across. But otherwise, it's just troll mob behavior. I don't want to try and be too I don't want to use too many mean words. YouTube will not like that. Disagree with review bombing, but sometimes it's needed to show how people feel. Sadly, it's always seen as mindless hate or some other buzzword that people like to use. Jar Goyle is pretty. He doesn't come around too often. When he does, he's usually pretty thoughtful. So it's an important tool for us to voice an opinion. Publishers are starting to do shady things like introduce a game in one state, receive positive reviews, and alter gameplay. Add or change the cost of microtransactions after the fact, or even adjust the grind for game currency. Also, we're well informed enough to figure out if a game is targeted for this kind of action. Steam, you have to own the game to leave a review. We live in a time where if you don't like something, Star Wars, and have a negative opinion in any way, you are an entitled troll in all the shill press. This is also now part of the games industry. Twitch's pretty active, and he has a very simple one. You own the game, you can bomb the game. So this is, Thomas, he's also pretty active. He's asking what Esturbo did. That's a whole, I won't get into that. If you want to figure out what Esturbo did, in the Code of Conduct post, you can read. On the forum, you can read about that, but I don't want to get into that now. But his take on review bombing is that it's a form of protest, and like every form of protest, it can be done for good reasons and stupid reasons, which I think is probably the most reasonable take. But I think that's going through enough of the replies. Let's move on to the second daily poll. So the second daily poll was on the 25th of February. And I got the title wrong, and it was an absolute mess because I made one post and I forgot to do the poll, and then I had to make another post, so it didn't turn out as well as I wanted it to. But the whole thing was that Anthem came out on the 22nd, I think. So, and obviously I wasn't doing the daily poll when the game came out proper, but after Anthem came out, I've played a good bit of it. I paid for about a month of Origin Access, and I got to the part with the tombs, and then it was such a grind wall that I just stopped playing before I could beat the rest of the game, and I honestly don't care to play more of the game. It's not that good, and it's got some of the weirdest technical glitches that I've ever seen in a AAA game, so I wouldn't recommend it at all. But that's just my personal overview of the game. So, and with every daily poll, starting from 2, I say what the last one was, and I link to the last one. And then, essentially, EA, starting with Battlefield 5, they had this chart of when you can play the game. And I figured, hey, where did people place on this chart for Anthem? Like, is it, it was talked about a lot. A lot of YouTubers that I watch talked about Anthem and the chart that they've got, and the chart that they were doing for that in Battlefield. So I figured let me ask the community where they placed on this chart, and I basically most people did not buy Anthem at all, which You saved your money. Two people bought the full price game. One person had Origin Access Basic on Xbox or PC, where that lets you play for about 10 hours. Um, Four people bought Origin Access Premiere for the 15th launcher afterwards, and then one person played the demo, and that's it. And I think, oh, okay, yeah, so I might have, I might have to reload this to, okay, well, yeah, I have to reload that. Okay, yeah, so, I think, yeah, I might have been the one, I might have, had the game at this point. I'm not sure. Yeah, I had bought Origin Access Premiere, okay. Just checking. And, yeah, so Mad Mummy is, decently active. Played the closed alpha, and that was more than enough. The closed alpha was, quite a while before the, full game. So if you played, yeah, the closed alpha and did not like it, then I can definitely relate to. I'm not sure I can relate to it, but yeah, it's pretty understandable. Because I can't imagine the closed alpha doing. I can't imagine Anthem ever being in a good state. Like, I'm sure when they were first making the game, BioWare, it was probably a good idea. You know, it could have been a really good single player RPG, but clearly EA doesn't want to do that. But getting off topic, we're going through the replies. But most people, okay, so this is just Vulcaneer. He was active in the earlier daily polls, but this just is him giving me some pretty good input on the daily poll, on how to do polls, and I appreciate him for that. And if you're watching this, Vulcaneer, yeah, and Bolta as well has given me good input on these polls. So if you have input, leave it in the comments, leave it in a poll reply, and I try to read every reply and comment or that someone leaves in the daily polls. I can't promise that I'll read everything, but I try to read everything as much as I possibly can. But my biggest priority is just doing the daily poll every day and reading reading all the comments and the replies. Definitely a big second. But if there's sometimes where I've seen really long things, and I definitely will just I'll skim through it and read it. But I definitely want to have if the community wants me to do something with the daily poll that I'm not doing, then I want to do that essentially. So if you think there's something that could really make the daily poll better, then leave it in the comment or reply, and I will read it, and and if and I promise I'll keep it in mind. I don't want to. I don't know. That's that's me getting a bit off topic. So yeah, most people saying the game had PvP and maybe would have given it a try. Didn't even bother to play the beta, so I didn't place anywhere. So most people, Anime Sisters gives very vague answers, and this is the one time. Don't bother wasting money on trash. So that's the most definitive reply that this account has ever given, in my opinion. So if the data was public in Xbox, I'd be more public. So most people are just most people just saying no, I didn't buy it. It looks like trash, and I can't say. So it's pretty boring. Oh yeah, and we got Merlin here. Merlin's also really active in the polls. It's going down in flames, but it's not awful. It's just forgettable for many people. Solid 5 out of 10. Not good, but not awful. Too bad. Okay, so that's Daily Poll 2, and now Daily Poll 3. Does Metacritic influence your game purchases? Now, I can tell you specifically why I chose to do this one, and some of these I'm logged in, and some of these I'm logged out. It seems. I could refresh, and it will log me back in. I got a notification. Oh, okay, let's see. Yeah, so that's, okay. I don't know why I checked that. Okay, while I'm recording this series. So yeah, I'm very new to doing to recording videos. So hopefully as I chug on, I'll make these more professional. But for now, this is what you got to deal with. Okay, so yeah, getting back on topic. Metacritic. Does Metacritic influence your game purchase? I chose this very specifically because there have been stories where certain game companies, like EA specifically, will just they'll dissolve studios based on Metacritic scores, or people have lost bonuses in the industry because their Metacritic scores are too low. I think Fallout New Vegas, because it was like 1 point too low on Metacritic, they just did not give them they did not give those they didn't give Obsidian the bonuses because the Metacritic was too low. So I figured, Metacritic, obviously it's important to the industry, at least like the corporate heads in the industry, but is it important to the gamers, the people who actually buy the games? So and so today's daily poll is on Metacritic. I said I took a survey for Atlas, and that was discussed in the forum. So there was a forum thread talking about an Atlas survey, and what most people were interested were like, do you want to see Persona games on the Switch, or like what games would you want on the Switch? So stuff like that was the reason people were talking about, because everyone's chomping at the bit for a Persona 5 port, for a Switch version of Persona 5, and I am too, even though I've got a PlayStation 4 right here. You can't see it. It's right behind my laptop. But yeah, I have a PlayStation 4. I've played Persona 5. I've got a whole video talking about Persona 5, the Royal, which is on this channel. If you can check it out. So publishers have tied bonuses into Valve Studios, and the fact that I took the survey and Metacritic was mentioned as influencing my game purchases, I figured, let me ask the community. So this one's probably the first one where it's got like a whole metric crap ton of choices, and the first one, or 4 people said, I don't use reviews to help me decide when I buy a game. And then I think most people, well, the one that got the most option is, I've never used Metacritic to help me decide when I buy a game. I've said that I've never used Metacritic. I have never thought, I want to buy the next Call of Duty, and let me see if the Metacritic score is above a 55. It is, let me go buy it. Never happened. If it's happened for you, then good. And then the next one I chose was, the next poll option was, I read user reviews in general. Metacritic is one source. But no one said that they always use Metacritic, and it's based on the formal score or the user review. So no one in the 66 people who voted on this poll has ever gone to Metacritic and bought a game based on the formal score and the user reviews in general. And then after so basically after this option, and it's tied with the user review option, I sometimes use Metacritic, but only with other sources. So Metacritic isn't that influential, at least in this is a really small sample size compared to like the millions and millions of people who play games. Even on one platform. Like the Switch has got 32 million units sold, the PS4 is almost 100 million, Steam's pushing like 100 million people. I was on Steam at like 4 in the morning and it had like 10 million people logged in. So very small sample size. I wish I had access to a bigger sample size, but I don't. But 60 of the 66 people who voted, if this is indicative somewhat, Metacritic isn't that important. So I don't think the industry, if this poll is to believe, then the industry is sort of losing the plot when basing games off Metacritic. But hey, 66 people, there are millions and millions of gamers out there. They could all think Metacritic is the best thing ever invented. But told you how I voted, told you why I did the poll. Now let us go through the replies. I don't know how to say this, but Timologian, I use Metacritic as a guideline. I look up user reviews and YouTubers on the subject. If the game gets good enough praise, I put it on my wish list and wait a few years before buying it. Skyrim's still on his backlog. Yeah, Timologian's, he's decently active. I've seen him multiple times. Honestly can't think of a game I didn't buy immediately that wasn't a WoW expansion, which I don't even play anymore. I watch streamers on Twitch and wait for YouTube Let's Plays before I buy anything, usually. That's Beloved Weston. I don't think I've seen him too much. So, let's see. Oh yeah, later. Let's see. Just wait until everything is heavily discounted. The only exceptions I plan to make are Cyberpunk and The Outer Worlds. Well, I think his opinion on The Outer Worlds has changed if he's a PC gamer. I've been following both closely and even bought the tabletop version of Cyberpunk today at lunch. I'm not sure if it's at launch. Probably at launch, because Cyberpunk's older than me, I think. So yeah, Layer End's pretty decently active. So user reviews are only worthwhile information to have, as critic reviews are pointless. I'd rather wait on YouTube reviews if I have the option though. So what I got is that most people don't really care for critics, like because there is a huge problem with access journalism, and this is not with the game industry. You've seen stuff like Captain Marvel. You had that sci-fi that a reviewer from Sci-Fi admitting that they have to softball things, but that's probably the same with a lot of with a lot of games journalism. That they've a lot of the bigger sites probably with Call of Duty they probably review Call of Duty good every year so they can keep getting it because of that's what probably drives a lot of traffic to their sites. And most that for as much as a lot of people hate Call of Duty, it's still got a lot of influence over the industry, and it's got its huge fan base of people who they really don't care about it. Like they'll buy maybe 2 games a year, so they'll probably buy 2 or 3 games. Buy maybe a Call of Duty, maybe a Madden, and then a Call of Duty, a Madden, and then maybe an Assassin's Creed. I literally had a friend in college who, in 2017, he only bought Assassin's Creed Origins and Call of Duty World War II. He just did not give a shit about any other game. There I go, cursing. But so a lot of these bigger sites are catering to those people. They're not catering towards the guy. They're not catering towards, I would say, the average forum member here, where they buy lots and lots of games and they really care about it, where they really care about the the industry, and they play lots of indie games. Well, I'm not sure if they play lots of indie games, but they've got indie games that they like, or they've got this huge backlog of games that they're going through. Most people, they buy maybe 2 games a year. They do it during September to December when all the big games are coming out. So that's that. I think that's who these big sites are catering to. That's who Metacritic is catering to. Jargoyle. So just in the past, let's find something of interest. I use YouTube as my go-to. So most people are saying they use YouTube. Any other product I buy, you research from as many sources as possible. Specific score is not all that important. Yeah, when I started gaming, you had to judge a book by its cover. You buy a game today, that's not what expected. That's on you. So pretty good from Jargoyle. Mad Mummy, he's pretty active. He says, "What's Metacritic?" Ooh, only for really obscure games, since finding a decent review is usually not so clear. Generally, I like to look at the score discrepancy on games that are really bad between the critics and users and chuckle slightly. So that's Merlin. So I guess Merlin's saying it doesn't use it on a AAA game, but smaller indie games will use Metacritic just because it's hard to find. Reviews. He's probably just using it as an aggregator. Okay. So Mad Mummy asked what's Metacritic, and then I unironically answered, which I probably was asking it ironically. Now that I think about it. Volkner says, "I don't trust any anonymous system. Not saying that people need to dox themselves, but the company holding the information have identity verification. In the case of reviews, I need to see proof that the reviewer not only played the game, but played the game enough to understand it." So it's a pretty valid thing. With Metacritic, you'll get people just bombing the game who... I've read through Persona 5's user reviews, the really negative ones, and people who played, maybe half an hour of it and thought it was going to be like Skyrim, and then it wasn't. And they're like, "Oh, it's the worst game ever," which, I mean, it's fine, but it doesn't really tell the average person much of anything. So, a user review system like the one Metacritic has can be very touchy-feely. Unlike with Steam's, where with Steam, you know that the person played the game, and you know how long the person played the game for. So if the person played the game for half an hour, and there's it's shit, and then you look at another review, and then it's it's a good game. The first few hours are pretty bad, but you get through, you get after the third hour or so, that's when it really starts picking up. Then you're like, maybe I'll check it out. That's definitely a possibility. But if you're the sort of person who wants games to be fun when you start playing them, which is fair, which is pretty valid, then you can read that review and be like, well, I don't want to buy it because there's other games that are fun right from the get-go. There are other games where they're just multiplayer mode, and I can just be playing that instantly. I don't want to have to grind through bad game to get to the good game. That's what a lot of people you got a limited amount of time and money, and if you want to spend your money and time a specific way, then who am I to tell you different? So Serena Beach is pretty active. So there doesn't seem to be a pull option to this, but no, not really. I don't really use reviews as a hard guideline unless the game is almost universally agreed upon as not worth it by fellow gamers. So Bolter says, I tend to use Metacritic mostly when I see a game on sale and see if it's worth checking out. For day one purchases, I like to inform myself in several ways: trailers, dev talk, YouTube, websites, etc. So, as the third daily poll, we are going on to daily poll number 4. So, daily poll number 4. How often do you consume gaming news? So, I can't say any specific reason, but I watch Spawn Wave a lot, and I know quite a few forum members watch Spawn Wave a lot, and he does News Wave every day, 8 a.m. Eastern every weekday 8 a.m. Eastern. I always watch that. I don't watch Spawncast that much anymore. I used to back in 2017. Like I remember when it first started, when Philip was on the Spawncast. So if you remember those Spawncasts, then it's pretty cool. But it's like, it's something that I watch every day, and I figure how many people are in tune with the industry. And this one's probably going to be a little biased because I said, like, exclusively games, it's for gamers. Like, people are pretty passionate about the hobby. So I would expect that most, the biggest answer is I consume gaming news daily. And then the next one is that they consume gaming news a few times a week. Some two people consumed it once a week, a few times a month, and then the next one is I can only consume gaming news if there's a game I'm excited about that I'm excited about is close to release. And then 3 people said I don't consume gaming news. So most people, they do it daily or regularly, or a few times a week. But and a few people do it like pretty sparingly. And then there's a small minority of people who they will be in the gaming news cycle if it's for a game that they care about. So that's so it's a pretty boring poll in terms of doesn't really tell you much of anything. But I just figured it'd be an interesting one to do. I don't always have the greatest ideas. So so 10 Mulligan, a few times a week to daily. It's mostly YouTube though. And then I said that's how I get the news. And I said watch Newswave. I always said watch the Young as well. It's pretty good. Thomas is saying consume is a weird word. It makes me think of people chewing newspapers. It is a weird term, but I think it's technically correct, and it does get the point across. So let's see. So Dingo, I do feel that I'm always borrowing from the future by staying on the very edge of latest gaming news. Game rarely sneaks up on me for the majority of the magic has long since been reduced. Maybe I should stay up to date as I currently do. Those probably save me some real money. I feel I enjoy them less for it. So that's Dango. One post, and it's on my daily poll. I feel very honored. So Dango probably isn't an active forum member, but it's a pretty thoughtful one. But yeah, especially with the internet these days, with the internet, there's always something to talk about. And I was born. I wasn't around during the NES and the SNES era, and I really wasn't old enough for the early 2000s to really be in tune with like the magazines and stuff. But I remember when I was a kid playing just GameCube games and stuff like that. I really didn't care about like the news. Like I didn't really care about like what Nintendo was doing as a company. I just cared about getting new GameCube games and new Wii games and then new 360 games. But definitely after the Xbox One came out, so I'm not sure when, but yeah, it was definitely was probably a little bit around 2015-ish, I'd say, when I started caring more about this stuff. Like, definitely, ever since like 2017, like when I watch Newswave every day and stuff like that, so more in tune with exclusively games as well. So my YouTube feed, a lot of it is gaming news, where a lot of it, I would just play games, and then, if a new one came out, I'd get it, or I try to get it. Okay, but, so I think it does have a good point in that, with the internet, it's really easy to be on the edge of everything, and the rumor mill is churning constantly. So there are so many games that, like 20 years ago, they would just drop and be like, oh man, a new sequel to the game is coming out, like on the PlayStation 1 or whatever. And now it's like, oh yeah, oh yeah, we basically got the entire E3 reveal, 3 months ahead of time. I'm being a little bit facetious because there's obviously surprises that all the companies drop, and we've got a Sony Direct coming in about we see it's 3:36. I got 24-hour time, but yeah, we got a Sony State of Play, and that just dropped out. That just came out of nowhere, so most people don't exactly know what's going to be coming up, but people are rumoring about it. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw something about Jeff Stranding. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw something about Days Gone. But that's just the internet sort of. The more you know, the less surprising things are. And I think I spent a bit too long. So, make games great again. I check gaming news daily now, thanks to exclusively games. Choppy said, lore videos count. Well, I'm sure they're interesting. I don't think that they do. See. So Mad Mummy said, I consume gaming news monthly when my favorite gaming magazine released until gaming news actually became a thing on the internet. So until about 2000. Looked at my favorite gaming news sites daily until they all died off one by one or faded into obscurity. In the past few years, I've barely consumed gaming news. Go to shill media? Nope. So I only watched occasional trailers, and that was my involvement. Okay, so it seems like Mad Mummy's like passionate about things, but he just it's just he doesn't want to go to the bigger sites, like a Polygon or an IGN because they're shill media, as he says, which pretty fair. I don't really go to Polygon or IGN with the purpose of finding out about the newest games. I usually just watch I watch YouTubers. That's what most people do these days, and that's there's quite a lot of tension between certain people in the gaming news media and YouTubers, but yes. Yeah, so you look at Yang Yeah and Jason Schreier. They've got a pretty long history of beef. They're trying to be. I think Yang Yeah is always trying to be amicable. But Jason Schreier just, for whatever reason, isn't. I guess it's just jealousy, which I don't know. I mean, he's written some books. Jason Schreier's done good. He's done actual good journalism, I'd say. I think if he just stuck to doing good journalism and just try to be on the community's good side, I think he'd have a pretty good reputation. That's how I see it. And Serena Beach says a few times a week from YouTube. And then Smooth Criminal says technically via YouTube. So most people say, YouTube. It was like background noise while you do other stuff. So don't really remember much. So that's the way I am as well. Like I'll put it on and then I'll just sort of tune out with it. So that's it's like 90% of the YouTube videos I watch is that it just tunes out because I just watch so much YouTube a day. It's ridiculous how much I watch, and a lot of it I'll watch like while I'll sleep, and I'll watch like 3-hour videos while I sleep, so I don't remember them at all. So that sort of ups my times a bit disingenuously. But that's Daily Poll 4. Like I said, it's a pretty boring one. So Daily Poll number 5: will Cyberpunk get a release date for E3? So around this time, Cyberpunk had confirmed that they would be at E3. So I figured, why not ask the community if you think we'll get an E3 release date? Most people said we'll get a launch year. I'd have to refresh it, but I think I said we'll launch year. Well, let me refresh and then I can tell you. Let it load. Yes, I drove it. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, I said launch year and season. So, what I mean by launch year and season, spring 2020, which will probably want to be when it releases. So, either be spring of next year or, really late into this year. There have been rumors. I've heard rumors of Cyberpunk releasing this June, which, if that happened, that'd be absolutely insane. I doubt it, though. What would basically happen is that at E3, they would just say the game's either out now or it's coming out in a few weeks. I just don't think that would happen. It would be absolutely insane if that happened, but I don't think. And because they've been saying when it's ready for, they said that last year. They said that when they did the gameplay reveal. They have been working on this game for years. We know that it's fully playable, but even they said it's fully playable, you can get to the end of the game. There's still a lot of work that we need to do. So I don't think that this is. I don't think it's going to get I don't think it's going to be releasing. I think there's a chance of it coming out this year. I don't think it's coming out in June. I think late 2019 or early 2020 is probably when the game will be out. Yeah. So one person said they'll get a full date. That's Bowden. You're seemingly be alone. So yeah, Days of the Droid, CDBR, and big on setting things in stone. So I doubt it. Nobody will get to play at E3 either, but the quick bait will fly. Chompy said. Chompy said. Yeah, and then Jay has said, that's a given. Launch year, probably. There doesn't seem to be much to suggest we're going to launch date, to be honest. So, yeah, just free replies. Not much to go for. Not a lot of traffic. Just 18 votes, which is fine. I guess people weren't interested in that day. But a daily poll 5. Did the Pokemon... So there was a Pokemon Direct. That was probably the day before I did this one. Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, it was either the day before or on this day. It's probably on this day since I did 6/26. Yeah, I think it was on this day. It was 6/26. So I said, so basically there's a Pokemon Direct for Sword and Shield. I spelled Shield, Pokemon Sword and Shield. I spelled this title wrong. And then... it's technically Daily Poll 6. So, I did Daily Poll 5, and then Daily Poll 6 is also Daily Poll 5, and I spelled this wrong. So that was a pretty big blunder for me. So I can't promise like I'll get everything perfect, but I'm trying my best, man. That's all I can say. So basically, it's essentially the ones who yesterday's Pokemon Directs. Basically, everyone watched the Direct. I linked to the Direct, and then I said, didn't see the Direct, but I'm hyped from seeing the information elsewhere, because I know a lot of people, they'll probably watch like a Yang Yan or some other YouTuber. They'll maybe read it on the site, and they could still get hyped from the information from the Direct, but they necessarily wouldn't watch the Direct themselves, even though the Direct is like 6 or 7 minutes. But if you're watching a news wave every day, and you get to see that information there and you're hyped from that, then I think that's so they were like, oh, I don't need to watch the Direct because there wasn't really much to see. There definitely wasn't. It was just announcing the name and showing a few frames of gameplay. Saw the Direct, and I'm hyped. I think I said that. I think I'm pretty excited for it. It does seem like it's going to be a pretty interesting game, even if they're removing like the thing from Let's Go, like they're bringing back the random encounters, which a lot of people seem to be a bit mad at, but I don't mind it too much since that's how basically every Pokemon game I've played worked. I didn't get Let's Go, Pikachu or Eevee, since most people said it's just a really casual game, and that's fine. It's just not worth 60. It's not worth the 60 for me. So saw the Direct. I'm not interested. That's 7 people. So the Direct, I'm waiting for information before I decide, and then most people don't care about Pokemon. So this one really doesn't care about Pokemon. Another option, don't have a Switch, so not really. Well, I guess that would be another option, was like, I don't have a Switch, so I'm not interested in any Switch game. But you could still be interested in Pokemon if you have a 3DS or a DS, or hell, man, a Game Boy even. Or you could just watch the Pokemon anime and like that and be a fan of that and not play the games. Though I don't really know people who only watch the Pokemon anime but have never played a Pokemon game or don't play the Pokemon games anymore. I think most people who watch the show would also play the game. But if you watch the show and only watch the show and that's your thing and you just hate playing the games for whatever reason, if you're that person, then leave a comment down below explaining why. I'm really interested, but I doubt. And then Ethan Saito's reported for misspelling Shield. Yeah, I definitely deserve to be banned for that. Okay, so MCC says, first Pokemon game was X. X was a 3DS game. Decently fun. Would have loved it years ago, but these days I have more options and don't have nostalgia to tempt me. Still in all that I can play Dark Souls and other similar titles. I go now. I've yet to watch the Direct, but they need a huge hook to be interested over other options. So that's basically saying, like, I liked X. It was a good game, but with everything today that I have, especially like I said, like, there's so many Switch games out. Like, Dark Souls is on the Switch. You've got a bunch of Final Fantasy games coming to Switch. You've got like and if you're looking for RPGs, like Fire Emblem's coming out this year. I've got that pre-ordered. I'm really excited for Free Houses. There's just a whole slew of Switch games coming out all throughout this year, and we haven't even hit E3 yet. So when E3 comes around, I'm sure Nintendo will talk about more. And there's so many Switch games coming out that I forget all the ones that I want to get. Like, I remember there's like times like, oh yeah, Animal Crossing is supposed to be coming out this year. I can't wait for that game. It's like it literally happens like all the time. And it's just like Animal Crossing is going to be coming out. I'm so excited for that game. And I'm thinking I might buy it digitally just so I can always have it with me. Because that's just how Animal Crossing works. So Smack'em says, like the premise. Smack'em's like the premise of Blue and Yellow, or yeah, like the premise loved like the premise of Pokemon. Loved Blue and Yellow back in the day. I've since played Y and Ultra Sun, and they're too easy, and the characters and town exploration are pretty boring and not for me. I remember Pokemon Sun being I only played a little bit, and like one of the battles like really hard, so I just stopped playing before the game really opened up. I need to play more of that game. Star Magician's pretty active, especially in the later polls. Direct hardly showed everything for all we know. It's just another version of the same game on a more powerful platform. I don't think it is Star Magician. It's a whole new region. They're adding a whole bunch more Pokemon, and it seems like there's a lot of I didn't play, like I said, didn't play Let's Go, but there's like Let's Go didn't have random encounters. This game seemingly does. So I think it's definitely going to be a pretty different game. Now, graphically, is it going to be like Let's Go? Probably. I would say that from what I've seen, it looks, as graphically, competent as Pokemon Let's Go. Pokemon Let's Go looked a bit weird. The character models looked a bit weird. Like the human character models, especially for like James and Jesse of Team Rocket, just didn't look right to me. That's like one of the things that put me off of the game. So that's one thing. So as how do you say that? As you dran, I can't say I feel hyped for Pokemon to start to feel old. that it's the 8th gen of the game when I used to play Red and Blue on 4th grade. Yeah, I'm not quite as old as that, but I played the DS games, and let's see, what do I have? Yeah, I actually do. So this is the original Nintendo DS, and I got this for Christmas about 12 years ago. I think I got it in 2006 or 2005. So 12, 13. This thing's like 12 or 13 years old, and let's see. Yeah, it still works. There you go. It's really low on battery since I've lost the charge. I think I had the charger around here somewhere, but I just don't care to charge it because I have a 3DS as well, and basically any DS game if I want to play a DS game, I could play on my DS, my 3DS, and play it a lot and have a much better experience with it since the D-pad on the 3DS is better and it's bigger and more comfortable, and the screens have more resolution, not much, but more than the original DS. But that thing is just there as like a memento, essentially. Thomas JCG says, I'm a huge fan of Pokemon, but I remain on the cautious side for now. There wasn't much information on Direct to assure me it won't be crap like the last few games. So Thomas does not like the last few Pokemon games, and he's cautious, which is fair, definitely fair, considering Let's Go was really casual, and Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon are really different from the other ones. But from what I played, I think they'd be pretty good. I need to play more Ultra Sun. Let's see. Layran left a really long comment, which is good. I encourage long comments. I love Pokemon and will most likely buy the game, but I feel there's so much they could have done being on the Switch that they didn't do. They seem okay with the game looking like a better version of the 3DS game, and as much as I like those games, I don't agree with doing that. Pokemon Coliseum and XC brought into HD for an 8th generation was what I think most people were expecting, but it's a bit of a letdown that we aren't getting it. It also didn't provide much info. I know the game is a while off, but give us something besides scenery and starters. After the jump from the 2nd to 3rd gen, everyone wants to know right away if everything can be brought to the new game from the old one, especially with the change in hardware. which is a fair thing. And later, I'm going to have to say it's going to take a few years of Game Freak making games on the Switch, for them to really start like really flexing their muscles, because they've essentially been the most powerful platform that Game Freak developed for before this was the 3DS. So they really haven't done like home they really haven't done like big home console games before. So this is like their first one that they're doing, and it's probably going to not be what everyone exactly would want out of a home Pokemon console game. So I think give it a few years. I'd say somewhere like in the maybe like 2021 or something like that is when we'll start. Well, is maybe a little bit later, but like a few years into the next decade is when we'll start seeing Game Freak start making something really grandiose, I think. Especially if a new Switch revision comes out, and there's like a Switch Pro that comes out eventually, and I think that's something that'll come out in a few years from now. Like you had the 3DS and then the new 3DS. We'll get something like a new Switch. Well, hopefully they don't call it that, but the like a essentially just a hardware upgrade for the Switch, where I'm not sure if they'll treat it like a Next or the Pro, where everything on the Switch Pro has to be playable on the original Switch, or like new 3DS, where there are essentially new 3DS exclusive games. Not very few. There's like maybe 5 games that are only on the new 3DS, um, but so there's so they so the way so that's what I see Nintendo doing with the Switch to make the original Switch lifespan last that full 7 years, and then they release a full on Switch 2, and maybe the Switch Pro will be able to play Switch 2 games or whatever. It's our Nintendo could do something entirely different. They're a very weird company, and that's why I like Nintendo. But that's getting into like personal predictions for Nintendo. So yeah, no, definitely Pokemon is right now, especially Sword and Shield, are definitely going to be upgraded versions of the 3DS games, and that's going to be what they're going to be sticking to for a few years, I'd say, until they really start figuring out what they want to do in terms of like a big home console game. Because if they want to do like a really nice home console game, Game Freak's going to want to do it right. And they're also making towns, so they're probably doing that to learn more about RPG making, and like really make things really make the Pokemon games better. So I'd say like a few years when towns starts to develop it, and they get the input from that and everything, is definitely when the Pokemon series will see this like big boom and like really become like a console quality franchise, instead of just being like handheld games. So it'll take a while because they're still in the transition phase, because Pokemon Let's Go, Pikachu, and Eevee, from what I could tell, they were just sort of remakes of the first gen games, and they were really casual. They were just there to help. They were essentially there for fans of for like hardcore fan, well, not hardcore fans, but they were there just to have a Pokemon game out there for most people, and to sort of get some of the Pokemon Go user base together Switch, which I'm sure if you even got like if you got a quarter of a percent of people who play Pokemon Go to buy a Switch, that's a good amount of sales, I'd say. So that's why Pokemon Let's Go exists. It's a bit unfortunate that it's a really casual game, but what are you going to do? That's just the way it works. So then, I'm not anybody says I hate fairy types and mega evolutions, so anything past Gen 6 or above is unplayable. Not looking forward to it. Yeah, and then Thomas says the things are nothing compared to what Sun and Moon did. Majestic Bower Goat says, I saw the trailer, it looks great so far. Beef, I don't know how he says Beef Wellington. I see him very rarely, but when I do, it's pretty fun because I like that profile picture. Buying a Switch for the new Fire Emblem game. This happy surprise was just dropped on me as well. So, no, yeah, B. Fallington. If you ever do watch this video, I'm a big Fire Emblem fan. Like I said, pre-ordered Seasons of War Hair Edition from Best Buy for like $110. Because I just want a special edition, and I got a Persona Q2 special edition pre-ordered, the 3DS game, and Catherine, the full body edition, the special edition pre-ordered. So I want to get my first I want to get free collector's editions. It'll be my first collector editions I buy myself, which I'm really excited for. So that'll happen starting in June, and then July, and then September. For Persona Q2, then Fire Emblem, then Catherine, in that order. So that's Daily Poll 6. Titled Daily Poll 5 because I made a mistake when making this poll. And then, like I said, so last Daily Poll was 6, not 5. I did an oopsie. So Daily Poll 7 was, how do you play games? Essentially, a pretty simple one. It was multiple choice, so the number is a bit inflated. So this is, I have a PC, PS4, and a Switch, and I've got a SNES Classic and a NES Classic. I got a Wii U, I got an original Wii, I got a 3DS. But I just I was really general with these things. So I said PC. So most people are PC. Gotta go back. Okay, most people play PC or console, and then a dedicated handheld is like a 3DS or a PS Vita, those sorts of systems, and mobile is mobile phone. And nobody said they don't play games, because I try to make, I always do the daily poll, I always do the daily poll, always try to structure them in a way where literally anybody can answer them. So if you don't play games, then you don't play games. I want you to be able to say that you don't play games, but you have an exclusively games account. Maybe you just play like tabletop games, like you don't play video games. You just decide to go into the video game part of the forum and just talk about it. I don't know. So then Ethan Seidel, pretty active. He says, I don't actually play games. I just came here for the daily polls. Very, very funny, Ethan. Star Magician saying, oopsie doofy. Anything but mobile, basically. Star Magician. So Merlin says, yes, each platform has something unique it brings to the table. PC is the highest possible standards for every aspect. Mouse and keyboard has a lot of options, plus back in the day when people played games with a nice joystick. Like all those flying games. Handhelds have always been my favorites. Portability. So this is just Merlin leaving this nice long comment about how every platform has its ups and downs. I gotta agree with that. And about those old flying games, my grandfather used to be a pilot, and he got flighting. He had flight sims on his old computer. He had this the flight controls, the actual whole thing, like the thing that you truss up and everything. It was really fun to use it. But it was probably like the Microsoft Flight Simulator X or something like that, like some really old version of Microsoft Flight Simulator, I think. But it was back in back when I was it was when I went. My grandparents live across the country. They live pretty close. I live pretty close on the West Coast, and I'm on the East Coast. So it's I had last time I went to New Mexico was it was last summer, and that's because that's where my grandparents live in New Mexico, and I went to California last year, and then I visited my grandparents. But I don't think he had the flight stick. But so last time when I used a flight stick, I was young. Must have been 2012 at the latest, I'd say. Probably earlier than that, but that's kind of off topic. So Twidget says he plays on PC most of the time. The other 1% is the 3DS when his power is down. Haven't played any of his consoles in 4 or 5 years. Well, there's tons of good console games, I'd say, Twidget, but PC has got so many games just on Steam alone that I can understand why you would spend all your time on PC. Smooth Criminal, he plays on PC exclusively. Wish he had PS4 for Bloodborne. I can say that Bloodborne is a great game. I got it for $10. I know it's more expensive now, but Bloodborne is a great game. The frame rate's a bit low, so I wish there was a PC version because then it would run at smooth 60. It would run Yeah, ugh, yeah. If Bloodborne had the PC version, they would run at a smooth 60. But yeah, basically, other than the frame rate and some things I could say about basically every Dark Soul, I got about probably some nitpicks here and there about I would have basically any From Software game. It's a great game. Um, yeah, and Bloodborne's the reason why I got Sekiro and I got it on PC and it runs like a dream. But that is getting off topic. Mad Mummy says, you aren't going to lie. Very well. I don't play games. 0 votes. He doesn't vote in the polls either. Just likes to watch. So, yeah. So yeah, Ethan Saito says, yeah. I said, yeah, because I remember there's like a thread in the future. Probably get to it in the next one of these poll reviews. Where I said like where I had another one where I don't play games made sense as an option, and he said like why isn't I don't play games as an option? And then I replied, then I quoted him in the post like I feel like saying I don't play games, and Merle was like checking me, so we'll come up to that at some point. Yeah, so let's see, Mad Mommy was. Yeah, so Matt and Mummy is saying he wish he could play on PC exclusively, but I compromise on playing the biggest exclusives of consoles. I meant free games in 2018. As for mobile, its only uses that I could see is to waste time when you're stuck waiting somewhere with no access to anything else. Alas, it fails even at that. Controls on a mobile touchscreen or works playing on a tiny 5-6-inch screen is terrible. Mobile games generally are terrible growing fast. I play one mobile game, Adventure Communist. That is the only one I'll play, and I usually just play it like if I'm on the toilet and I've got nothing else to do, or I'm just lying in bed and I just feel bored. That's when I'll play. That's when I'll play it. Yeah. Basically, most people are saying everything but mobile. Though PC is my preferred platform. Consoles are just there for the exclusive when I need to watch a Blu-ray. Yeah. So, let's see, phone and PC gamer by origin. I play phone and PC, but PC gamer by origin and mostly. That's Return to Command 228. So that's this has been So I think we're gonna leave it there. This has been the first episode of Poll Review. Let's see, I should Poll Review like that. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Like I said, I'll try to be doing this. I'll try to be making poll review every day, starting today, hopefully. Starting today, hopefully, from when this video is uploaded until I get through the 30 some odd polls that I've done initially, and it won't stack to be a perfect 7 because that's how math works. So there will probably be one that'll have like 8 or 9 or something like that. But tomorrow I've got some stuff to do, so I'm not sure if I'll get around to uploading one tomorrow. I probably will. I just need to make sure I film it and get it into the editing software because I want to add some things. But I think this has been it. This has been it for now. I've been recording for like 57 minutes, but that's a long video. But what I figured I figure I would do this series, and I think it's a good thing. And I think the commentary that I had was all pretty valid. So I'll hopefully try and maybe shorten things up a little bit because like 57 minutes is a really long video. But as I do these more and more, I'll hopefully be able to like maybe shorten them up and make my commentary more punchy and pick out the form replies that I want to do ahead of time, because this is I was just sitting down doing this really impromptu. But yeah, see you later.
Been searching all along, confessing while alone, without a clue, without a sign, without grasping it. The real question to be asked, where have I been? I'm a sharpshooter, I post masquerade.